So here's my tough question for you.
Okay. I love tough questions.
Well, this is probably one of the toughest ones. And I know in all the studies that have been done on psilocybin and psychedelics, physiological responses are taken, questionnaires, subjective experience, all of this kind of stuff. You just said that 1 6-hour experience with this compound can engender or stimulate a behavior change that is one of the most notoriously hard to turn around, i.e. smoking cessation.
Right.
Within that experience, do you attribute to being able to fundamentally change someone's mind in such a way that they are able to overcome a physiological addiction, but also the accompanying psychological components of that? Like,
yeah,
what happens?
That's a wonderful question. yeah, and whew, to try to approach it as concisely as I can, briefly. Clearly, there's no such thing as the psychedelic experience.
Right.
There are many, many different states of consciousness, with or without psychedelics,
absolutely,
in the human repertoire.
Yep.
And when people think psychedelics, they often think of kind of geometric patterns, tie-dyed T-shirts,
right.
And that's not what we're talking about.
Sure.
That happens with very low dosage, a lot of defensiveness, and those experiences are probably irrelevant.
Yeah.
They don't hurt and they don't help.
Right.
But they're just amusing, interesting, fascinating. Yeah. Okay, then there's this whole realm of personal psychological experiences where people dive into unresolved guilt and grief and problems in relationships.
Yeah.
And, if you're motivated for personal growth, those are great therapeutic opportunities. If you're afraid of personal growth, you call that a bad trip.
Right.
I wanted to have a wonderful time and I relived the death of my mother,
Sure.
and had to deal with unresolved grief. What a bad trip. The fact is that unresolved grief is causing depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
And if you deal with it, things can open. Yeah. So there's this whole dimension of new psychological insight that happens in some people. Beyond that, if you will, there's this incredible universal world of visionary imagery of gods and goddesses and precious stones and just awesomely beautiful things.
Unspeakably so.
Yeah, unspeakably. Yeah. That Carl Jung thought was called the collective unconscious. Right. It's simply within us all and waiting to be discovered. Yeah. And it's just inspiring to encounter that. And often there's kind of healing insights. But if you will, even beyond that is this unitive consciousness, non-dual consciousness of this a sense of what in religious language we call eternity, or infinity of beyond time, beyond space, intuitive knowledge, and this feeling that ultimately somehow all is well in the universe.
Right. Things are as they should be, despite chaos and,
But whether it's kind of on the psychodynamic level, the visionary level, or the mystical level, when a person comes back from that experience, there's a sense of awe.
Yeah.
And my gosh, what am I as a human being?
Yeah.
There are realities within my mind. I am part of something bigger than myself. I can't pretend to be a guy with no inner resources who can't stop smoking anymore.
Right.
It won't. I know better.
Yeah.
There's all these resources, so it changes the concept of who the person is, the concept of who other people are, the concept of what the nature of reality is. It there's lots of ways to try to put it into words,
Sure.
but basically there's a sense of inner resources. In the language of Alcoholics Anonymous, the higher power,
right,
if you will,
yeah,
is really real. You know, it's
right,
not just an abstract idea,
yeah,
but you met it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and so, can you stop smoking? Of course, I can stop smoking.
right,
I've got all these resources.
yeah.
Not only that, but my body is this incredibly
Your reverence for the temple that is your
magnificent
body
temple.
grows exponentially after experience like that in many cases.
How could I put anything in my body that would be harmful?
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's dynamics like that. But what's important and what our societies have trouble comprehending is that what's curative is the memory of an experience. It's not a drug effect.
Right.
Like Prozac that you have to keep taking day after day after
Right.
day.
Right.
It's not, the healing isn't the molecule of the drug. The molecule of the drug gives access to an experience. And it's the memory of that experience that stays with you the rest of your life.
Just think about that for a second. It's the power of a memory that fundamentally changes how you think, feel, and act. That's really hard to wrap your head around when you
Isn't
think
that?
about it. A memory, which when thought of, bleeds into all aspects of who you are and how you act.
That's right.
And that causes powerful, persistent
Behavior change. Yeah.